Hello everyone, this is Serious Trivia, and today we're continuing our Liu Bei Early Life Let's Talk Lore series with episode 5 titled Rebuilding. Now last time we ended as Liu Bei lost control of the Shu province in early 196 as Yuan Shu's attack and Lu Bu's backstab forced Liu Bei to concede the province over to Lu Bu as he now returned to the city of Xiaopei, where he would need time to rebuild his forces. Interestingly enough, all this was predicted by one of Liu Bei's advisors at the time in Chen Qun, who had first warned Liu Bei to not take on the Shu province following Tao Qian's death, as Yuan Shu would surely attack from the south during the transition period. Then, with the war raging against Yuan Shu, Lu Bu would attack them from the north. And although the details of Chen Qun's prediction would be slightly off as he did not foresee Cao Cao's defeat of Lu Bu and Liu Bei's sheltering of Lu Bu, the end result is surprisingly accurate. And for those who might find Chen Qun's name familiar, he is the same person that will eventually become one of the four friends of Cao Pi and a fellow co-regent alongside Sima Yi, Cao Xiu, and Cao Zhen for Emperor Cao Rui down the line, as he would be instrumental in proposing the 9-rank system as part of Cao Pi's court reforms for the Kingdom of Wei. But at this point in time, he was barely of age and working as an advisor to Liu Bei, before earning himself the position of mayor in a small county within the Shu province. Then with Lu Bu in control, Chen Qun technically worked under Lu Bu until Lu Bu's death at Cao Cao's hand, which is why when Chen Qun would eventually climb up from his mayor position, he would end up as a member of Cao Cao's court. But enough about Chen Qun as we return to Liu Bei, who luckily still had the financial backing of Mi Zhu, who had just become Liu Bei's brother-in-law with Liu Bei's marriage to his sister, Lady Mi. Yet, even with all the money in the world, Liu Bei's rebuild would come with many challenges as he had ambitious warlords surrounding him on all sides. By October of 196, Yuan Shu would kick things off when he sent his general, Jiling, along with 30,000 troops to attack Liu Bei's position at Xiaopei. At this time, Liu Bei's troop count were still in the thousands, and even with the fortifications at Xiaopei, this was not a force that Liu Bei could survive. So Liu Bei naturally asked Lu Bu for help. But when Liu Bei's messenger arrived at Xiapi, most of Lu Bu's officers were against saving Liu Bei, as the bad blood from the prior backstab meant Liu Bei was always going to be a threat in the long run. And having Yuan Shu waste troops and resources to wipe out Liu Bei would be a win-win scenario for Lu Bu, given the ambitious nature of Yuan Shu, which makes him also a threat. Yet, Lu Bu disagreed, as he worried that if Yuan Shu takes control of Xiaopei and then links up with the Taishan bandits to the north, then his own holdings in the Shu province would be completely surrounded on all sides by Yuan Shu. Then it would be only a matter of time before Yuan Shu turns on him. So by Lu Bu's calculation, Liu Bei was still a useful piece to save. So just as Jiling's army would arrive at Xiaopei, Lu Bu would personally lead a small force of just 1,000 infantry and 200 cavalry to save Liu Bei. And what happened next is the famed Yuanmen Sheji, where Lu Bu's display of archery scared Jiling into agreeing to a peaceful withdrawal. And for those who are interested in the details of this event, feel free to check out my prior Lu Bu or Yuan Shu lore series, as we're not going to be repeating ourselves here given that Liu Bei did not play any part in this event. But while Lu Bu would save Liu Bei in October, Liu Bei's rapid rebuild would soon change Lu Bu's mind, as just next year, in 197, in the span of just a few months' time, Liu Bei's troop count would once again balloon back over the 10,000 mark, as Mi Zhu's wealth and Liu Bei's popularity made all the difference in the world. Obviously, with Lu Bu still hoping to expand his own forces in this same area, Liu Bei's rapid conscription was not only an unwelcome competitor, but also a growing threat. So, before Liu Bei could train his new recruits or expand any farther, Lu Bu decided to strike first, as he would personally attack Liu Bei and oust him from Xiaopei in 197. Now without a base, Liu Bei was forced to flee east towards Cao Cao and the new imperial court in Xuchang. Now, while Cao Cao was a menace in his campaign against the Xu province in 193 and 194, Zhang Miao and Chen Gong's rebellion did teach him a valuable lesson, and now with the emperor under his control, Cao Cao became much more stately, as even in early 196, using the imperial edicts as an olive branch, Cao Cao had already named Liu Bei Zhendong Jiangjun, or the general who stabilized the east, and Yicheng Tinghou, which was a second marquis title. And while Liu Bei was never officially named as the new governor of the Xu province, the general title that he received here was the same one that Tao Qian had previously held. So in a sense, Cao Cao and the imperial court recognized his authority in the region with this title. But the situation is now completely changed with Lu Bu in control and Liu Bei seeking refuge, and Cao Cao had an easy choice on his hand, as even though Liu Bei did fight against Cao Cao in the earlier campaigns in the Xu province, that bad blood cannot compare with Lu Bu's coup in the Yan province, and the subsequent battles between Cao Cao and Lu Bu. So naturally, using the imperial edict to his advantage, Cao Cao would give Liu Bei a new title as the governor of the Yu province, which bordered the Xu province to the west. In addition, Cao Cao would provide Liu Bei with additional military supplies, as Liu Bei essentially became a new buffer state between Cao Cao and Lu Bu. Furthermore, Yuan Shu's declaration of his intent to become emperor in 187 ended up uniting pretty much everyone in the area, as not only did his own general in Sun Ce and Wu Jing leave him along with much of the south and the Guangling commandery, warlords like Cao Cao, Liu Bei, and Lu Bu all magically gained an excuse to put away their differences to form a coalition against Yuan Shu. So while Liu Bei would not be involved heavily in the fighting against Yuan Shu, as he had a very limited force at this time, he would be able to resettle himself in Xiaopei thanks to the temporary alliances with Lu Bu. And by 198, Yuan Shu was essentially beaten. But even as he was losing ground, he tried multiple times to tempt Lu Bu to join his side. Back in May of 197, Yuan Shu had tried to offer Lu Bu a marriage proposal between his son and Lu Bu's daughter, which Lu Bu agreed to at first before Chen Gui and his son Chen Deng persuaded Lu Bu to change his mind. Now the Chen clan did this because they did not like either Yuan Shu or Lu Bu, as they were plotting behind Lu Bu's back with Cao Cao to bring down Lu Bu. But even though the marriage plans fell through and fighting broke out between Yuan Shu and Lu Bu in the aftermath, by 198, Yuan Shu would reach out to Lu Bu again, and once again, Lu Bu would become tempted as he felt the imperial court and Cao Cao had slighted him by just making him the general of the left and not the prefect of the Xu province. So in order to build up his own military strength to prepare for a war against Cao Cao as Yuan Shu's ally, Lu Bu sent out a convoy with most of his gold stockpile, as he wanted to buy more war horses from the Henei commandery in the north. But just as this convoy had left Xiapi, Liu Bei's troops ambushed it, as Liu Bei did not want to see Lu Bu get stronger. This was especially true as Yuan Shu was nearing his destruction, thus the coalition against him would no longer be needed. So given all the bad blood between Liu Bei and Lu Bu, war in the future between them seemed inevitable. Therefore, this preemptive attack did not seem like the worst idea in the world. But Liu Bei's seizure of Lu Bu's gold did turn out to be a near fatal mistake, as Lu Bu would send his two best generals in Gao Shun and Zhang Liao to attack Liu Bei's position in Xiaopei. In response, Liu Bei would ask for aid from Cao Cao, who would send Xiahou Dun to rescue Liu Bei. And to find out the result of this clash, come back next time as we'll continue from here. And hopefully you all have enjoyed this episode enough to hit that like button to help support the channel, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!